Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 311 Griffin YouTube channel. I am playing Forza 7 on Xbox One, and I thought I would do some racing videos to show at least beginners some ways that they might be able to make a little money faster or have a little bit easier time with the races, step up the difficulty level, stuff like that. So this isn't for experts necessarily. If you're smoking highly skilled AI or higher already, then this probably isn't for you. I'm not an expert, but I typically can easily beat highly skilled and sometimes expert. I haven't really tried much higher than that. So, but if you're struggling with that kind of thing, then this might be for you. I'm hopefully going to eventually talk through some of the technical stuff about why cars operate the way they do, and how to race the racing line a little bit better, how to understand it better, I guess. This video is more about just tips on any racing game, some things that you can do to really quickly improve your game if you haven't figured them out yet. I originally learned a lot of this stuff on Gran Turismo back on the original PlayStation, Gran Turismo 2, then Sports Car GT on my computer, and then Forza on Xbox. And then I've been playing Forza 5, 6, and then recently 7. I would have just stuck with 6, but Microsoft hates their customers very, very much, and they screwed me out of all my progress in Forza 6. So I wound up just buying Forza 7 on sale, and I've been playing that quite a bit. Okay, so these first tips are good for pretty much any racing game, but specifically I think they do work a little better in Forza 5, 6, and 7, maybe some other Forzas, but those are the ones that I've played. And these mostly have to do with the way the race is built, or the way the game is built. The AI pretty much races the line. They've got a set way they drive. If you're in their way, they don't care. They'll block you. They'll bounce you. If you're if you're in the line, protecting the line the way you should, and they'll come down and spin you out. They don't care, and there's no penalty for that. Also, the laps are usually 2 to 4 laps per race, and the leaders that are on pole, second, third, they're pretty fast. And then there's this slower group of cars in all of these races, and so if you're stuck in or behind the slower group of cars, it's really hard to catch up and pass if you spend too much time back there. So because of that, my first tip is play Smash and Dash, and treat it like your job is to smash through everybody on your first lap, and you should be in 5th or higher by the 3rd corner of the race. And then after that, for me personally, I back off and I start racing. I try to race more realistically, staying in the lines, the racing limits, the track limits, and you know, if somebody's on the racing line, I've got to go around them. Or wait for them to get off the racing line and go inside of them, stuff like that. So that's kind of the way I start my race, and I think that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is very similar, but it's more about if you do wind up with somebody that's just really, really hard to pass legitimately. If you're in a single-player race, I don't have any moral objections to playing bump and run with them then. And the key here is don't go too fast, don't do it on the straight, and be close enough that you can actually achieve it. So pit maneuvers are really hard in these games, and if you're on the straight going fast and you're trying to shove somebody off the track, it's usually pretty hard to do because of the physics of the game. And I don't necessarily mind that, but so I always do that in the corners, and I get close enough. If I'm a little bit further away, it winds up being a side swipe where I go into the corner too fast, I brake late, I turn and get a little bit sideways, and then I hit door to door with them, and I push them outside, and then I accelerate, usually past the apex. You know, it puts me closer to the line. They're outside, and I accelerate. The other one is if I'm close, I just brake late and put my front bumper into their back bumper pretty hard, then hit the brakes pretty hard once I know I'm pushing them outside. Pushes them out, I cut inside, hit the apex, and accelerate out. But you got to be close enough to make it happen. And then the third tip is that some of these corners you can cut. It's really hard to cut corners in these games because going through the grass or the sand slows you down, and the bumpers have less traction. There's a few corners that you can do. One example is Radion in Spa-Francorchamps. After you take the left-hander that is Air Rouge, then take the right-hander. If you can get over on the left side, there's a huge run-out area going up over the crest. It's a blind corner, it's a blind left, but if you go to the left and go into the run-out area, you can carry a lot of speed. And one of the things you're going to want to do is anytime there's a straight after a corner, you want to exit that corner with as much speed as you can, because you can really have some good overtake opportunities if you do that. And Kimmel Straight is a great example of that. So if you can cheat a little bit, head to the left through that run out area and go faster than the artificial intelligence, you can carry a lot of speed up through there. So those are some tips for general racing, but specifically to Forza. These next ones are going to be specifically for Forza. And most important of these is turn off assisted braking and steering. They will mess you up. They don't help you get better, and you just drive slow when you do it. I don't like the assisted braking and steering. Now, it could help for younger players, I think, and newer players and people that are just learning the game a little bit. But I think you'll extend your learning curve a little bit, it seems like at first, if you just turn those off from the get-go. I think you'll shorten your learning curve over the course of time. In previous games, 5 and 6, you'll make more money too, but just turn those off. Next, set your drivatar difficulty to a level that challenges you, but that you can win consistently. If you're really having trouble winning, turn the drivatar difficulty down. You don't take any penalty once you get to average or below. So if you're having to race them on average, if you're still struggling a little bit, go ahead and bump it down a little bit. You're not going to take any additional penalty. Then adjust the drivatar difficulty up as you get better. So I try to keep it on highly skilled or expert, with the caveat being if it's something that I just think is stupid and doesn't belong in the game, like semi-truck racing or Formula E that is just horrible, I drop it all the way down and I make it as short of races as I can and I get done with it, because I hate those. Those are terrible. Next, and this should be, I think, tip 7, don't be afraid to turn the difficulty back down if you're racing on tracks that you're struggling with, or with cars that you're struggling with, or that you just don't like. So don't feel like you got to muddle through difficult races over and over and over again. It just isn't worth the time. You're not making enough extra money. The next tip, use the suggested line to learn the tracks. I like to use the braking line only, but if you've got a track that you're just not familiar with, go ahead and use the suggested line. Or a lot of times night races are difficult, so you can throw the suggested line on, especially if you're on like Sebring or Virginia and you bust out your headlights at night, you're going to need the suggested line. Next, try to turn the line down to braking only once you know the tracks. That's kind of the continuance of the same one. So let's move on. When you're trying to challenge yourself, adjust the difficulty, not the assists, because you'll make more money. In F6, you could get bonus money by playing with the assists as well, but in F7, get the assists the way you like them, and then if you need a challenge, bump the difficulty up. Number 8, and this one's a big one in F7. This is specific to F7. Use mods. So I ignored this in F6 because I was making money pretty fast, and because of the way the bonus cars were provided, I didn't need a bunch of money every time I leveled up. In F7, it seems like I make a lot less money, but that's probably because I'm not getting those bonus spins for, that I land on $1 million every once in a while every time I level my driver up. But it's also because I'm having to buy expensive cars every time I level up, because that's what I get, is a car with a $400,000 discount. And but some of them still cost me over $1 million that I don't have. So what I found is that I can go buy mods. You don't even have to wait to just get them randomly. Buy them, which I don't even know that you get them randomly, except for the pack you get at the beginning or whatever. But go find ones that pay you for assists that you already have turned off. So like I look for ones that are braking line only. I look for ones that are ABS and normal steering, and I look for ones that like the double downs, the ones that just pay out extra. And I also try to keep some on hand for racing in the rain and night races, because you'll just encounter those naturally as you progress through the game. And just buy those because you can make your money back plus some, and then use them on races that you're good at, because it's a way to kind of give yourself some extra money on races that you feel familiar with. So next, in conjunction with that one, extend the races that you enjoy to long. I haven't done any extra long, but extend races that you like doing. Like, I really like Spa, and I like Watkins Glen, and there's others as well. So if I get on one of those and it's like a GT race, which I really like, or a prototype race that I like as well, I'll go get my best mods, apply them to that race, and then I extend it to long. So instead of being 3 or 4 laps, it's like 7 or 10 laps, and then I turn the difficulty up to the highest that I know I can beat, maybe even higher. Sometimes I play around with it. So I'll be cruising around Spa on expert with mods that pay me 250%, and I wind up making just an insane amount of money, because you make extra money because it's longer, and then you make extra money from those mods. And that's probably the biggest and best tip for Forza 7 specifically, because you make money so slowly in this game, and that does a great job of just extending the amount of money you can make, and it does it in a way that's sort of enjoyable. So go fast through the races that you hate and the cars that you hate, and on those other ones, use mods and extend the race and change the difficulty up so you can make money faster. And that's it for now. So hopefully in the future I can go into some more technical detail. I'm working on some videos to talk about the physics of the game a little bit, and I hope to go into more detail on those, and that should be fun. But that's it for now. Happy racing, and thanks for watching.